Hi, welcome to BizMix TV. I'm your host, Barbara Marville Kelly. Thanks for joining us today. We're going to let you see our panel of experts, professional experts, is going to share successful business strategies with you to help you grow your business. Let's meet the panelists right now.
Hello everyone, welcome to BizMix TV, where our panel is here to give you the business. Now, have we ever thought about how we bring in new business or new customers into our company? Of course, we're content with the business that we have, but how do we get new business? Well, that's what we're here to talk to you about today. We're going to start with Sid because Sid is very eager to give you information on bringing in new business into our companies.
Thanks, Reese. I think it depends on, kind of identifying if you're a product company or a services company, and then knowing who your audience is. I think once you can piece those pieces together, you can come up with the right recipe to really attract the kind of customers. So again, I think the lessons that I've learned that I would love to pay forward are, you can't be all things to all people, and pick one or two things really that you do really well and bring those to market. And if you know your audience, your speed to market will be a lot quicker, and I think you'll have an advantage. So thanks, I wanted to get that off my chest.
Awesome. Well, what would you tell our viewers today in reference to bringing in new business in your line of work? How would you approach bringing in new business?
I mean, I think there's a lot of, in the traditional paradigm of customer acquisition, I think there's ways about expanding geographically. There's M&A activity you can go into, or just coming in with new products or markets, or you can do it in a traditional organic way, or you can do it through joint ventures. Where you just like the example we talked about with tech banks offering at Amtrak, that's a co-authored solution we came up with. So we kind of identified some ingredients that would help us with our recipe to get to market quicker and provide for a better solution for our customer. Because let's face it, without our customer, none of us would be sitting here now.
Exactly.
So,
I think one of the things that's really important is what I call the shotgun versus the rifle approach. Because what a lot of people will do when they're starting off a business is they'll want to go out and market as much as possible. They'll take out ads, they'll go around, they'll do speaking, they hit everything, and they try and do everything, and they don't do any one thing really good. So I like trying to, when I coach a small business starting up, I always coach them, once you've gotten over the hurdle of what am I going to sell, and I totally agree with Sid that you can't be everything to everybody, so you have to find what you're good at. I think it's really important to target how those people, you got to find out what's my target market, and then rifle shot in on those people and say what's the best way to get to those people. Is it direct mail? Is it social media? Is it every door direct mail, which is a favorite thing of mine? There's a few other ways. I mean, most small businesses aren't going to go out and pay for radio, pay for TV, and things like that. It's a little expensive. But you've got to really hone in, because you just end up spending a lot of money and not getting a whole lot for it.
Hopefully with a registered rifle.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that most businesses, like both of you said, most businesses go out there and they kind of just use the shotgun. They blast out everywhere. They don't take for granted the knowledge that they can get from business coaches or their marketing coach that can come in and say, hey, here's the key to your business, and this is the demographics in the market that you should be going after, and build out that roadmap for that. Everything you do technology-wise, as far as with the websites, with social media, with your print and everything, really comes back to that roadmap, to those demographics, those numbers, that data is your lifeline.
Absolutely. And just to echo what Rusty's saying here is the social media roadmap is huge. It'll tell you when you get your roadmap about what the demographics are of your customer, that's going to tell you where you want to play when it comes to social media. Because if your demographic is someone 35 and older, they're probably going to be on Facebook. They're not going to be on Snapchat, and maybe some of you sitting right here right now don't even know what Snapchat is, but is
I'm one of them.
you're one of them.
Me too. Guilty.
See, guilty as charged. But that's exactly the point.
Yeah.
But if you have a customer base of 18 and younger, or maybe even 21, 25 and younger, they're going to be on Snapchat. They're going to be using that as their main source of information, and that's where you're going to. So it's really important to understand your demographics first.
Right, and I think going back to the customer piece, I think it's becoming more and more evident in the healthcare world. So if you're a company that's starting to provide some service or product in the healthcare world, you have this new dichotomy that you have to contemplate, which is you must market to the geriatric population and the millennials, which is a
Right.
completely different, as you know better than all of us do, Laura, completely different set of marketing tricks,
absolutely.
right? So then what do you, how do you kind of focus in back to your original point of getting the customers when you've got to, one, identify your product or servicing, but then say, I need to go after the consumer that's 66 years old, and the consumer that's 18 to 31 is millennial, right? 18 to 31, which is a completely different bag of tricks.
Well,
There's
right
no
now-
loyalty. There's no at the millennial age. It's all about speed to service, cost of goods sold. It's get in, get out. Whereas the geriatric population would say, no, we are traditional. We are loyal. We're going to go back to that brick.
Right.
That's actually a very good point, Sid. Can you explain to our viewers what the geriatric is and what the other term that you used are? Because we may not know.
The elderly population.
Okay.
So let's talk about the people that are potentially the baby boomers and older, and then
Okay.
above them you have people that are octogenarians, that are octogenarian of the 8th generation.
Okay.
So 80,
And what would be
80
an
to
example
90.
of the age groups in that?
I would imagine 66 is
Okay.
retirement. Early is 63, I think sometimes. Don't quote me on that.
That's
I've got
the
a few
largest
days.
group growing
I've got a
on
few
social
days
media.
until then, but I think 66 to octogenarians I think end at 90. So you've got this population that you need to service and provide products for. So again, going back to your initial thought of how do you get new customers, I think you have to know who your customer is first.
Right.
That's the
And
biggest
know.
mistake I see companies making is they
Exactly.
shotgun it. They don't know who their customers are.
With an
They-
unregistered
they-
rifle.
Yeah,
Right, with the
they
unregistered.
don't know. They don't know what they don't know about their customers. They never do. They never track any kind of demographics. They never track anything that those customers might have in common. Because a lot of the times, once you get your initial set of customers, you can go back and you can look at those customers and say, what do all these people have in common?
Yeah.
And then once you find out what they have in common, that gives your marketing person or you a huge leg up as to how do I go out and contact those people.
Absolutely.
Somebody like, for example, in the healthcare industry, when you're trying to market Medicare supplements or any kind of a Medicare product, it's a very different conversation and a very different approach than when you're trying to market to the 20 and 30-year-olds who are getting, a policy for the first time in their lives.
I mean, we've talked about the enterprise class of customers, but perhaps we talk about the SMB, small, medium business, right? So let's talk about the gentleman that's on Grand Boulevard. Is this Grand Boulevard out here?
Yes.
That maybe has a Jiffy Lube, right? For him, how does he get more customers? Placement, geography, coupons. We've talked about healthcare and enterprise class behemoths, but what about the gentleman that's watching that has a Jiffy Lube or 2 hair cutteries, or the woman that has a franchisee model? So their way of customer acquisition is a bit different, right? It's very much there's a concept called the T-Trod, and I would highly recommend you guys all look it up. It's lovely. It's very old, and it almost goes back to the traditional sense of marketing of word of mouth. So customer acquisition, I think, is different in the segments that you're in.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of it lies in Laura's area because
Oh,
I
yeah.
think
Oh,
I think when you're
absolutely.
first starting off like the pizza parlor or the Jiffy Lube or anything like that, I said social media is a huge aspect of a startup.
And I think it's important that you understand how to use social media. It's not advertising, like placing ads out there. It's providing value and education. So if you're talking about the Jiffy Lube guy, for example, that person needs to own the expertise of owning that Jiffy Lube and exactly why it is so important to go to him and what he brings to the table as far
Right.
as car care, just to make it plain and simple. And that's how you market on social media and capture your customers. And then You write that out, you put really compelling images out there on social media, and then direct them back to your website or wherever it is you want them to go, or direct them to a phone number to make
Right.
that phone call to make that appointment.
And that's where you can layer in the coupons and the incentives and all that kind of stuff. But first, you've got to go after the people. Just, it's not like there was that movie one time. It said, "Build it and they will come."
Right.
We built the ball field and expected everybody to come. The days are gone when you just go to Main Street, get a storefront, put up, Dave's Pizzeria. A pizza would not be good, but the Dave's Pizza Shop, and open it and they will come in. It really doesn't work like that way anymore. A lot of people decide where they're going to go to dinner from social media, from the web, looking at reviews and things like that, or with the growth of Groupon and all those other Living Social, a lot of that.
Don't forget the Kardashians. I mean, they play a
That's
major
true.
role.
That's true. You gotta
They play a
get
major
them
role
down.
in my
That's
life. So please don't forget them.
Well, you got to think too, like, you just brought it up, the reputation for a small business that's just getting started. The word of mouth is your marketing piece.
Right.
You can go out and spend $10,000, $20,000 on marketing right out the door and just waste that money. If you get that word of mouth, that reputation building, it'll do more for you than any marketing you can do, especially when you're a small mom and pop Jiffy Lube pizza place, stuff like that. Because what happens is you order this pizza, you have it at home, you're eating it, the neighbor comes into the house and, oh man, this is really good pizza. Where'd you get it from? Boom. They're
Exactly.
going to keep going.
Yeah.
And
That's a very valid point, mostly.
And I
Very
think that's
valid.
how you leverage social media is you look for those product and service advocates out there and you encourage them to, okay, write a review. Did you really love my pizza? What was it that you loved about my pizza? Can you please tell people about that?
So I was just going to say, maybe collectively we've come up with something, which is this. It's almost like you're going back in time. We think about the Andy Griffith Show, and it was the brick and mortar, right? It was, Laura, did you have a great experience at the diner, and how was your float, right?
Right.
Like, even though we've had such massive inventions and innovation and technology, it's now almost like come full circle. Well, it's about the
It
consumer.
has, because social
and how
media-
was your experience?
It has,
Right?
because social media
Right,
has given
so
us the
back to-
ability to do that.
Yeah.
Well, one of the
So-
things that we work with is online reputation. That's one of my biggest products that I have in-house. And the thing about it is your online reputation is your word of mouth nowadays.
Absolutely.
That 5-star rating, that 4-star rating, or that 1-star rating is the difference of having, 30% of your business come in or out the
That's right.
door.
Yeah.
So the Yelps, all the citation sites that are out there that are rating you, that you can actually rank those pages to,
Right.
to tell your story. Who better to do that, tell your story, you or your customers? Who
Right.
are they going to believe more? Your customers, right?
Correct.
Because that's who's having
Reviews
experience
are
with you.
everything.
But-
Reviews are everything.
Back to Dave's point. Sorry, am I cannibalizing your time?
No, go
Sorry.
ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say, back to Dave's time, I think, and I picked this up where I was going to speak somewhere, and the guy said this before me again, plagiarism is the greatest form of flattery. The gentleman said, to what you just brought up, that TripAdvisor and Yelp are 18 to 24 months away from being dead. So if you're a new company coming up with a product or service, don't always rely on what you read, because there's lawsuits where companies in India were putting up fake reviews, right? So the reason what Peter Shankman said on a stage recently is that it's organically happening
But the
Right.
problem with that is, I
from a
don't think that
sentiment
they're
from a sentiment standpoint.
Right.
I don't think they're going anywhere. I think what's happening is finally, like what we've been telling people for a long time, the FCC is finally stepping into these companies and filtering out this bad
Regulating,
data.
Right.
And that there's been companies you could pay me $50 and I'll get you 500 great reviews.
Like-
but
You
what
do
you
that on
what you don't
Fiverr.
understand
Right,
is, as a
exactly.
small business
you don't
owner,
want to do that.
Oh, yeah.
by doing that, you just open yourself up to a huge fine from the FCC, and
Absolutely.
it's enough to close your doors in one fine.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Samsung, I think the other day, if you read online, you could Google it. Something like $256 million they got nailed with for fake reviews, and it wasn't
Wow.
even them that did it, but it's for them.
I think what's important is not for us to have people make fake reviews for us, but to have people governing the reviews that actually come in.
Right.
And we are actually about to go to break really quickly, and we'll be right back to Biz.
This is one bee that loves going to the dentist because it's made for you and me.
My name is Dr. Becerra from New Tampa Pediatric Dental, providing a comfortable atmosphere in early dental care. Gives kids a great start for healthy teeth and gums for life.
When I go to Dr. B, they don't do anything to hurt you.
I used to be afraid, but I'm not now. I'm not afraid of the dentist anymore. I love to see Dr. B. Call New Tampa Pediatric Dental today.
Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonatti created, perfected, and patented the Bonatti spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonatti invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonatti spine procedures, they consistently reflect over 94% patient satisfaction. 45,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients suffer from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonatti succeeds where others fail.
Welcome back to BizMix TV. We are going to go into a section called Did You Know? And we're going to have some information provided by David Taylor. David, take it away.
Okay, well, one of the big points that I see about companies just starting off, and this always comes to bite them in the second year, okay, or maybe even in the third year sometimes, is that people don't realize that if you don't make a profit at some point in time, on paper, a real true profit on paper, the IRS can come back and deem your whole business as a hobby. And then you have big tax problems going back almost 3 years in certain cases. So you go along, people want to always show themselves as having a tax loss or something like that. There's a lot of tax advantages, and I'm not a CPA or an accountant. But just from a financial point of view, there's a lot of advantages to showing a very small profit or a loss. Well, what happens is over time, the IRS looks at that and says, well, you're obviously not doing this to make an income, so this must be a hobby. And then they change your tax classification, and it can really come back and bite you. So the best thing I tell people is it's okay to lose money now and then, but every now and then you really have to show a profit to really keep your standing.
So what about the business that's in the startup phase that's in there for 5 years that are truly creating loss because they're developing the product?
You're right, and if you have those businesses like a software development company that might be developing software over 5 years and just pooling venture capital money into it. I can think of biotechs when somebody's developing a new medication, for example. Well, those companies have very valid reasons. So when the IRS comes in or when somebody looks at that, it makes perfect sense based on the business. But when you open up the pizza parlor, like we were talking about before, and the pizza parlor loses money for 3 years in a row, that starts to get suspicious. Yeah. So that's where you have to really have your financial house in order. Having a plan. Like, for example, if you started up a business, like a software development company, and your plan was you're not going to be into market for 4 years, well, you're executing your plan, so everything should be fine. But like I said, a small business, even an attorney's office, If an attorney's office was to show a loss for 3 or 4 years in a row, they could come back and say you were doing law as a hobby.
Wow. And it's definitely not
Not a
that.
hobby.
Not with what we go through.
Exactly. So
Definitely.
it's something everybody should be cognizant of. And, you know, doing your taxes and taking advice from the CPA and doing this is really good. But you should also be cognizant of the fact of how it looks outside your business.
That's a great point, Dave. Can you tell us what types of businesses would go through something like that most? Like, is it certain small businesses
I tell you, there's one that gets dinged all the time, and that's they call it direct selling, multi-level marketing, in-home sales. They all come under the same umbrella. They're very different kinds of marketing. But
That
they
makes
all
so
come
much
under the
sense.
same home business, at-home, in-home businesses. And those are a big target of the IRS for being a hobby. So you have to be very careful. If you're like, for example, I'm an insurance agent and a financial consultant. I operate out of my house. That's a little different because I do that full-time. I do show a profit and I pay taxes. But there's a lot of people out there who might be selling a multi-level marketing product or might be selling any kind of like health coaching services and things like that. And they take big deductions at the end of the year for their expenses, but they show very little revenue and they don't make a lot of money. That's only going to go on for a certain period of time before the IRS is really going to catch on.
So my question would be, okay, let's say I own the little pizza shop down here in the corner. You know, if I'm going into my 4th year. I've dug into my savings for the last 3 years to really get us by. We're able to pay all our bills, but we're not showing this big profit after I take home my income. Is that business owner at risk of having this looked at?
They're at risk of it being looked at and questioned. But if they can prove that this is what they were doing, and their bill is floating along, and they're putting in money, and it's a true going concern, as they call it, they're not going to have a problem. It's when they come in and they look and they say, okay, it's been 5 years now, and you've been selling, I'll pick on just one that comes to mind, Amway. You've been selling Amway for 5 years, and you've never made a profit, but over the last 5 years, you've showed $50,000 worth of tax deductions. Okay, that's the thing that's going to bring up the questions.
Red flag.
Yep.
Exactly.
Now, if let's say that like we've had this, and all of a sudden they're coming up to review us. Who do I call first? Do I call my lawyer or do I call my accountant?
My first suggestion would be to call your accountant. Because generally when they come, and they don't come out, first of all, what they'll do is they'll send you a letter. And they'll say, you know, we have some questions about this. The best person to answer that is going to be your accountant. So you don't really want to get no offense, but you don't want to get an attorney involved unless you absolutely have to.
So do you think, David, a small brick and mortar shop needs a bookkeeper from day one? Or is it
somebody
H&R
needs
Block
to be the bookkeeper, but they don't have to have a separate bookkeeper. I'm not a big proponent of adding to staff just to have staff. So it's with the accounting packages that are out there nowadays. It's fairly easy to be your own bookkeeper until you get to a certain size.
Is there any that you would recommend?
Well, I personally like
QuickBooks.
Well, you know, QuickBooks is good. Okay, one that I use myself and that I really like is called Wave, W-A-V-E, like wave in the water. It's really slick because what it does is it hooks, and some of the others do this too, but I just found this one was easier. It hooks directly up to my bank. So as I'm doing something, as I go out and I spend money on my credit card or my debit card,
integrated.
It reads that night. It will read that I did transactions and bring it in, and in most cases categorize it correctly based on the merchant.
That is awesome.
That's kind of cool.
I can also take a picture of a receipt, okay, and tell it right there with the app on my phone, this is for a business meal, this goes against my cash account, boom. It will then take the receipt, store it, see the amount of money, see the transaction come in from the next day, marry them together, and now you have a bulletproof record of that transaction in your system.
Wow.
It makes sense. I mean, especially if you think about, I think we live in, and this is not my own thought, Mark Cuban says it on Shark Tank all the time, an on-demand economy.
Yeah,
That's right.
so
We
true.
are now in the nature that we want, it's almost like instant gratification. We want
That's right.
exactly what we want to consume it when we want, and how we want to, typically on the mobile, right?
And that's perfect because one of the things when you talk about social media is that social media is a very much on-demand type of a thing. And what I've learned, and I never realized this, I never really paid social media much attention until I really met Laura. and
wow, that recent, huh?
And so social media is a very on-demand okay, it's not as much as of a push, like when you're pushing out advertising and you're mailing out something, you're pushing things out. Social media is really a demand where people say, okay, where are we going? In the simplest form, people say, where are we going to go to dinner?
Right.
And they're going to go, okay, let me take a look. And they go out on the web and they search
See what's
for
trending.
who's trend, what's trending, who's got coupons, what the reviews have been, and all of that is social media.
And that actually takes us back to our original topic, which was how to get new customers and new business. And one of the questions that I had from that was the fact that Sid brought up the older generation not necessarily being on all of the social media that we have out there. So if you want new customers in that generation, how do we get those? Are we still putting stuff in the paper? What are we doing to get those type of
Actually,
customers?
I'll correct you there. The senior citizens are actually the fastest growing demographic online for social media.
That's not surprising.
They are because that's how they're
Amazing.
connecting with the grandkids. That's how they're staying in touch with the family.
What's going
and plus,
on?
you got to think, most of them are retired. They're sitting at home. They have their laptops.
Right.
That's what they're doing nowadays. They're on
And
Facebook. They're on Instagram. They're on Twitter all day long.
And
Well, I
think they're
haven't had
getting
that
their
experience
news.
because most of the senior citizens in my family, honestly, they cannot stand the computer. They will get on there, they will try to do certain things. I've had my dad sit me down and try to pull up an email address for him, do all this other stuff, pull up pictures, and he'll do it while I'm there. And as soon as I leave, he totally forgot everything I just taught him. So, I mean, I have a different, aspect on that because the ones I see in my family don't want anything to do with the computer, and it agitates them.
But I'll tell you, my mom is going to be 84 this week. Okay, and she is on email. She gets videos from the grandkids. She gets pictures from the grandkids.
Glory.
Boy, God forbid she can't open a picture. Guess who gets a phone call?
Wow.
So
You are tier 1 support, my friend.
yeah, I am tier 1 support. That's right. And
Definitely.
but it's and she lives in a facility that's an independent living facility. And what they have is when you walk into the area where they eat, the dining room, right next to it is like the computer room.
Right.
And they have a bunch of terminals for them to all use if they don't have their own. So Rusty's right. The older generation is very much becoming a computer-driven society, just for the necessity of maintaining communication
with their families, especially when
Yeah.
they're spread out across the country and stuff like that.
Well,
that
be
definitely
there.
makes sense too.
To go back to topic, nowadays, to drive home that new customer, if you're wanting to get that senior citizen or anyone, social media is going to be where I'm going to put my dollars in for that.
Absolutely.
Right. I agree totally.
Because I know that's the largest growing demographic. But you got to be always having the awareness of, who your main traffic is, your main customers. Now I want to bring them in and tell them my call to action, my story, which is driving them to my website, driving them to my Facebook page and everything. But I want to stay in contact with them. So lead building is my biggest thing. For when you say retaining customers and getting value, because we know it's cheaper to keep a customer than it is to go buy a new customer,
Absolutely.
right? So
Exactly.
lead building, that lead generation, that building the email list, which I know everybody's like, oh, email lists are dead. They're not.
They're not.
They're your hugest. That's the most
It's just how you
simplest
use
and
them.
cheapest way to sell a secondary or an upsell to a
Right.
custer that you already have.
But
It's
what's
cheaper.
changed is how you use it.
Exactly, because I was going to say,
exactly.
if you're advertising to those people, you're missing the boat.
That's
You
right.
need to provide value and real information that these people, I always say, actionable information that people can use right now.
It's hard to say.
It is.
Well, there's one thing that we haven't spoken about in this whole realm of getting new customers, is there are businesses out there that are regulated in how they do
That's a good
things and what
point.
they say. Legal, for example, financial advisors. There are those two that come to mind right away, have very strict governing rules and ethics
they do.
and guidelines of what they can and can't do. Reese, can you comment on some of that from your experience and what you can do?
Definitely. We definitely have guidelines to what can be said and what cannot be said. We are governed by, of course, state regulations, state rules, and that's in every state around the country. Our rules sometimes are a little bit different, so you have to know what your rules are in your particular state. Like attorneys are governed by the Florida rules. Well, here in Florida, we're governed by the Florida rules of professional conduct. So it's certain things we can do and say and cannot due to those rules. So you would need to know specifically in your state what those rules are.
And it's a moving target, isn't it? Because it's constantly changing.
Exactly, it does change. So you do have to keep abreast to that, but you just keep in contact with whoever your state governing party is, and by email and things like that. And they send you documentation on that. We get monthly newsletters, monthly statements out to us that tell us when things have changed. So you just have to keep abreast on things like that.
I know when we build out, we do a lot of law firm websites, and we do a lot of financials. And I'm going to tell you what, they're the most difficult to do because of the restrictions and the regulations. You can't make any kind of guarantees. You can't make any statements like you can on a lot of other websites. The call to action has to be done. And then a lot of them have to go for review before we can even launch them. So.
But a lot of it with the social media aspect in those businesses and industries, social media is just that, being social. You want to build relationships, and a lot of your customer base are based on relationships. Like, I'm going to go to you for my legal help because I know you and I trust you. Those are the first two qualifiers that I go to, right? So same thing on social media. Why wouldn't you just do that? Why wouldn't you just market and build that relationship on social media at that organic level where you are a real person instead of the business? And I think that's what a lot of people miss.
I think that's a very good point. I hear financial advisors will all the time say, I can't do anything in social media, I can't do this, I can't do that. But I think they miss the point of stop marketing that you're a financial advisor and market that you are who you are.
You're a human.
And let people connect to you.
Right.
They wear the blinders.
Exactly.
Right.
In today's world, it's all about connecting with people. And that's what social media is all about. My phone has been ringing off the hook lately because of topics that Laura will help me with on my blog and things like that. And what I found is the more controversial the topic, no matter what position you take, the more controversial the topic, the more interaction you get. And I've had people start off with, I hate this, I hate that, die. And literally they write, and I'll write them back. And they just had a misconception of what something was, and you set them straight, and they become a client. Yeah. So, the old adage that, I thought it was interesting what Sid said before about how some of the old ways are coming back again. We're coming full circle, because they used to be, you used to have like the email marketing list, and how big is your list? I got 300,000 names on my list. Great, all that kind of stuff. And now it's really come back. It's to the one-on-one. The personal person. The person goes out and wants to read the review. I want to read what Sid thinks of this or what Laura thinks of that. I think it's really interesting.
The perfect example of social media for me is something Sid does, and I don't even think you realize you do it. I will get texts from him.
This could be bad.
No,
it's not a grooming issue, is it?
This is fun. No,
your hair looks like
this is
you don't
funny
have
though.
anything out of place, so you're good.
Sid's really nervous right now because
Go
this
on.
is totally unscripted right now, and he's not aware of what I'm going to say next. See the beads of sweat that are coming off his now.
I think one of his hairs is moving.
But honestly, what he does is he'll send me a text with a link to something. He knows that I'm interested in business. He knows that I'm interested in growing my social media business, my marketing business. He will send me, Laura, watch this TED video. You're going to thank me for it later. He will do that. That's social media.
Right.
He's sending me stuff that's going
Interactions.
viral. He's interacting with me. Now, the next time that I think of somebody, somebody comes to me and says, Laura, who do you know in marketing that's really, really good that could help me out with my business? Well, I'm going to think Sid, because Sid is always there helping me with stuff about my business.
Exactly.
So
It's building that relationship.
I hope my wife is watching this.
Yeah.
That I'm a helpful man.
He knows what he's talking
I am
about.
a helpful man.
He is very helpful.
Yeah, I was going to say it's building a relationship
That's right.
instead
It's all
of just
about
trying to get a customer and just trying to pull in business. You have to build relationships. And when you build those relationships, whether that person is fit to be a customer for you right then or in the future, they're going to be a customer for you at some point in time.
That's right.
Yeah, I think our viewers should really look at the T-Trad. It's TETRAD. It's really, really good stuff.
Cool.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting point you make, and the next segment of our show dovetails into how do you keep customers. And I think something you said just now is very, very on point, is that it's all about the relationship.
Exactly.
The products can change, the cities can change, everything can change. But if you have a relationship with that client, it's very difficult for somebody to get that client away from you.
Well, I think if you're always, and it's a mantra that we've always brought to our businesses, if I'm more concerned about my clients' needs and what their wants are than I am of what I'm looking to get out of it or profit or anything like that, we're servicing the customer. We're taking care of them.
Right.
The other stuff's going to come from the loyalty that they'll give us later. You know, so you
That's
always
right.
have to be about, you know, take care of the need. It might, you know, I might not be able to take care of it, but I know that Laura can.
Right.
You know, it's
But
Great.
they'll still
I'm
look
gonna
at you
get that
as the
respect.
person. They'll
Yeah.
still
Great
look at you as the
observation,
person who
Rusty.
brought-
And just hold that thought for just one moment so we can go to break, but we'll be right back.
Beltran Dental Surgery is dedicated to providing the highest quality dental surgery.
I graduated from USF, went to Harvard Dental School, obtained a medical degree from Texas, and completed 5 years of oral surgery training. At Beltran Dental Surgery, we offer cutting-edge surgical techniques and treatments to the Tampa Bay area. Providing IV sedation allows my patients to have a pain-free and comfortable surgical experience.
From wisdom teeth removal to implants or creating a whole new smile. Call now or visit our website to learn more about our procedures.
Ever need a doctor after hours? Well, searching won't help. But what do? You could go to the urgent care or ER, but if only there was a better way. Introducing the MNO Plus card. No waiting rooms, no copay, no consultation fee, giving you 24/7 access to a doctor by phone or online. It's easy to get started with affordable plans starting at $15 a month for a family of 5. For more information, visit mnoplus.com today.
Everyone's story is different, so why be limited to just one or two options? With Norcom's Norflex Home Loan, you're given the flexibility to tell your story. Pick your terms from 8 to 30 years, all while maintaining a low, fixed mortgage rate. You can pay off your loan more quickly or choose a term based on your budget and timeline. Whatever you do with the Norflex Home Loan, make it part of your financial plan. Norflex, short-term, long-term, your terms. Apply online at norcommortgage.com.
Welcome back to BizMix TV. We have a particular session now called What's New? And Laura is going to give us some information on what's new.
Reese, you drive a tough ship. That's really good. I love it. She's getting us back on task. What's new? What's new in social media? I think the newest, coolest toy out there is Periscope. Have you guys done Periscope yet?
No.
Of course I haven't.
It's
Of course
addictive.
not. It is
Oh, yeah.
everything you can do from here. If you've ever wanted your own talk show, your own TV show, commercial, or anything, you can do it from your phone, and that's all you need. And it's live streaming video, and you can connect with people globally. We're talking globally.
It's very cool.
It's very cool. So all you need, you could just sit here and selfie talk the whole time about Periscope. Look at your face.
Well, the girl just got arrested for periscoping.
That's right.
in
That was
Isn't that
Periscope.
amazing?
But you can get yourself into trouble too. But I think people use it wrong. I
Right.
think a lot of people, like you've said it before, it's their new toy. They like to go
Right.
out and they'll Periscope their cat eating food or whatever the heck it is. But you could really use it as maybe even a webinar or some sort of teleconference, but you're live. And you can interact with your customers. They text you questions or comments and you respond to them live. They show you applause in the form of hearts. They'll just
Right.
tap their screen to say, I love what you're saying right now. And
It's
it'll give you,
amazing.
it's amazing.
What's it cost, Laura?
Nothing. It's free.
Absolutely free.
So it's in the iTunes store?
Well, yeah, it's in whatever
It's
mobile
a-
device
Apple,
that you
it's
have.
iPhone based.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so you go ahead.
And it's connected to your Twitters too,
That's
right?
right. It's connected to your Twitter. You can save that video. You can upload it to YouTube. You can embed it on websites. This is a powerful tool, and people really need to embrace it and just get out there and talk to your customers, your potential customers, offer them value, offer them information, teach them something.
Yeah.
And I think you can't go wrong that way. You really can't. It's an amazing, amazing tool.
So is this something that you can potentially do from, like, say a company has an event or something going on?
Absolutely.
Can you Periscope at that event and then put it on YouTube and just show the world what went on at your event?
Absolutely.
That is
as long as
awesome.
you have
You're actually
Wi-Fi.
showing it live
You
right
can
then
use
and
it
there.
on your
that's
mobile
awesome.
too
It's
as well.
amazing.
There's
Where you
a-
sell your data.
There's actually a car dealership that whenever they get a lull in the day, they're using it
They're
now because I
Periscope?
found it. They're periscoping, and they're like, while we're live, if you pull in the lot now,
You'll
we're
get
going to give you
That's
an
a cool
extra bid
idea.
off the car. And
Right.
Well,
I
You
mean,
can
you'll
use
see cars
coupon
pulling in
codes.
from it. It's crazy.
Actually, this dovetails right back into our original topic of how to get more customers, where people think about social media
Okay.
and they think about Facebook. 9 times out of 10, you walk up to somebody and you say social media, and they're going to say Facebook or something like that. Really, social media is a lot more than that. Periscope is a tool in the bag of tricks. Facebook is a tool in the bag of tricks. What are some of your
You
more
could go
favorite ones you have?
Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr. It depends on your demographic.
Is that
again.
all that we need to know about Periscoping?
Is that all? Oh, I mean, that's like we could go for hours talking about Periscope, but I think if you guys just get the
Yeah.
basics
Got it.
of that live streaming video, I think you're good.
Periscope on my phone.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for
You're
that,
welcome.
Laura. We're going to go ahead and go into our topic now regarding how do you keep your new business. We've discussed how to get new business and new customers. Now we wanted to talk about how do you keep new business and new customers, because it's a little bit different. Getting new customers and keeping new customers is different. Wouldn't you say, Sid?
Yes.
Lock the door. Let them come in and lock the door.
And
You got
don't
to
let
keep
them
them
leave.
engaged.
I think
You got to
so.
There you
keep
go.
telling them a part of that story, and that is where you're using the emails, you're using the text messaging, you're using the social media, and basically what you're doing is you're giving them a reason to want to stay engaged with you through the story, but then also you're like, hey, I can upsell you this. You bought this, well, you may need this service too, and here's why.
But I think it goes back even before that. I think that's the second step. I think the first step is the relationship.
Yeah, you always
I
build
said
a relationship.
Build a relationship. The relationship is what allows you to do the things that Rusty was saying about go back and offer them other things and upsell them and bring them back in. It's the relationship. And even when you think about a big box realtor like retail, thank you. I couldn't even think of the word. When you think about that, when you think of Target, okay, really big, you're not going to have a relationship with Target. But a lot of people will be like, well, Target is the store I go to. They have a relationship with the brand.
Right.
So relationship doesn't just mean my relationship with the sole proprietor. You can have a relationship with a brand.
Or they can also have a relationship with the employees there, too.
That's
But
true,
I
too.
think you can relationship someone to death too. You have to always be cognizant about asking for the sell. If
Right.
you're not asking for the sell, they can't tell you no or yes. So you can build a relationship and we can become friends. But if I don't ask you for that sell, can you tell me no?
That's
So
right.
Can
is
you
it like
tell me yes?
codependence and interdependence
Exactly.
in a marriage?
Exactly.
Sometimes I think people
was
get scared of. Oh, go ahead.
No, please.
Oh,
I
okay.
insist.
I think people get scared about going on social media and building that relationship for the whole world to see, because that can be kind of a private thing between people, because they're afraid of that negative stuff that comes back.
Right.
And I always tell people, think of social media as your customer service department and PR department working together for you. And it's okay to have a negative comment on your social media platform. It is totally okay. I'm saying that right now.
Right.
I'm giving you permission right now to have negative comments on your social
I love the
media.
negative comments.
And you know why it's so great? It's how you handle those
Right.
negative comments. What do you do with that negative comment to turn it into something positive? And I just wanted to say that because people get intimidated by that. Like, what if my Yelp thing says this and I can't, reverse it?
But the biggest
measure
thing
you
is
in
the
your
response.
That's
You
right. It's
respond
exactly.
back.
Exactly. Don't
you
ignore it.
acknowledge
Do
that
not ignore
comment.
it.
The measure of the business
Yeah.
is how you respond.
Correct.
You take that person who has a bad meal and they post out, this was really bad, I didn't like this, and then you, in front of everybody, you come back and say, I'd like to welcome you back to have a free meal
Exactly.
to make it up to you and everything like that. That says miles towards people who are reading that.
Well, that also goes with the word of mouth piece to it,
Yes.
because you got to think the customer that's used to getting the same service every time that's good from you, they're less likely to go tell somebody else about you But that person that had an issue, man, I had this issue, but you know what?
And you
she
resolved
really
it.
came to the table. She fixed it for me right away. I'll definitely be going back there. That's 10 people they're going to go tell.
Exactly. Because you know what that says to a customer, right? That says that you care about them
Yep,
individually.
that's right. You stand behind what you're doing.
Exactly.
Yep.
I was going to say, my life is a digest of my travels and my meetings. So I brought this up the last time we were all together, which was the CEO on the back of the Southwest magazine. On the front page is a note from the CEO. And this gentleman very eloquently said, we are a customer service company, we just happen to fly planes. So to answer your exact question, from me, Reese, it's about customer service in the sense that I thought I'd give you one example. I somehow stay at the same exact place. I don't like change. I like the same hotels. I buy the same shoes. I buy the same. I have 50 pairs of the same exact shoes. It's just how my life will always be. I don't like change. I've started staying at the Hotel Duval in Tallahassee, and I'll be there tomorrow. This gentleman has started writing me handwritten notes when I arrive in my room. And he has, and I don't know how he's pulled this off, but I love cashews. I have hot cashews waiting for me in a handwritten note.
Wow.
So I think customer service keeps me going back to this Hotel Duval.
Exactly.
So to answer your question, to me, it's simple.
But that's all
it's
the
customer
relationship.
service.
It's the relationship.
It's the first impression and the last impression.
Right.
Exactly. Well, guys, we're going to take a quick break.
This is one bee that loves going to the dentist because it's made for you and me.
Providing a comfortable atmosphere in early dental care gives kids a great start for healthy teeth and gums for life.
Coming here, you're not just like an ordinary patient. You're actually like treated like a family member, and like you're treated like he actually gets to know you and makes you smile.
Welcome to New Tampa Pediatric Dental, and we are the Bees!
Call New Tampa Pediatric Dental today.
Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonatti created, perfected, and patented the Bonatti spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonatti invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonatti spine procedures, they consistently reflect over 94% patient satisfaction. 45,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients suffer from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonatti succeeds where others fail.
Welcome back to BizMix TV. We're going to go into a portion of our show called Highlighted Businesses. Take a look.
Hi there, welcome. I'm Barbara Marville, and with me is Ed Claymeyer, National Brand Manager, who's going to tell us about a great company called Paid to Save. Hi, Ed, welcome.
Hi, Barbara. Thank you for having me. I truly appreciate it. I just need 2 minutes of your time because I'm going to show you how you can save money on the items you're already purchasing at the places you're purchasing them from. Also, for those of you that are interested, I'm going to share with you an opportunity to also bring in additional income to you and your family.
Nice. So tell us, what exactly is Paid to Save?
Paid to Save is a mobile app that people are uploading all over town, saving money, as I said, on the things they're already buying. It's amazing.
So save money, make money. That definitely gets my attention. So basically, what attracted you to Paid to Save?
Actually, a good friend of mine is a former Baptist pastor, and he knows that I truly, truly enjoy helping other people every day. And he said, you have to check this Paid to Save out. So here we are a year later, and it's been amazing.
Well, you can tell that you're very excited about it, that's for sure. So now, Ed, you've written a book, a newly released ebook called The Savings Bible. What is that ebook all about?
The ebook is 108 saving secrets that you can't live without. And that can be downloaded for free. It is free, thesavingsbiblebook.com.
Nice. So Ed, do you have any closing comments about Paid to Save?
As I mentioned earlier, it is a free mobile app, and people are saving money all over town. And for those people that are interested in a second income or to gain additional income for their family, for themselves and their family, you need to reach out to me. I can help you. You can go to appbiz.ed@gmail.com, or you can call me at 813-318-1012.
Perfect. Thanks, Ed. And thank you for joining us. Check out Paid to Save.
Topic.
Bad topic.
Welcome back to BizMix TV. We were on our topic of how to keep new business, and Sid was explaining to us how customer service is so very important, and I do agree.
Yeah, I mean, just to finish that point, I think the advances of technology have led us to this social media, and if you combine that with an on-demand market and consumption, elasticity, and stickiness, I think first impression and last impression go a very long way. For someone like me, right? I'm 40 years old. I'm not beholden to the past, but it may give me a pattern of what my life will be like in the future, right? From a business intelligence standpoint. But like this Hotel Duval example I gave you, like I'll never forget that I check in, I'll check in in the morning at 9 a.m. and I'll have a handwritten note with some nuts or something in my room saying, Mr. Hassan, welcome back. So again, I think technology is so vastly expanded, but it's also taken us back to this very traditional notion.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it's almost like I don't know, like it's given you this buffer or this safety blanket to throw out and say, what can we gather? But now let's take it back to the tradition of meet you in the lobby and say, hi, it's good to see you again.
Right.
So it's almost so technologically advanced, but yet so raw and traditional again. Like, you know, like Huckleberry Finn or you know, Tom Sawyer, just, you know, Norman Rockwell. It's, you know, it's back to, you know, Grand Boulevard and how traditional life used to be. But keeping customers, I think it's important because now what's happening, especially with the advances of technology, anyone can stand up an application. You can consume infrastructure from Amazon Cloud or Microsoft Azure or Rackspace and stand up a company in the minutes of, or in the technical world, we say provision in minutes. So the days, Reese, where you could stand up a company in 2 to 3 months, you can do it in minutes now. So I think it's customer service, it's better products, getting to market first, being the leader. Those are all things that I think of when you want to try to keep your customer base.
And I think that, you know, hitting on what you said with the hotel there, there's so many ways that you could use social media to strategize for a client like yourself and find that information that can really click and drive home that sale. So like with you, understanding the cashews and the handwritten note, you know, how did he know that? Well, you can find that information online if you know how to look for it and use social media, because nowadays we're all putting pictures up about everything we do. Every 5 minutes we go somewhere, we got another picture and everything. So you can figure out what your customers like and really get their story before you ever meet them one-on-one, so that you can be ahead of the game with them. What that's going to do to a customer is that's going to say, wow, they really want me because they're willing to go above and beyond to figure out what I am about.
Especially in the day and age that there is so much competition. I mean, you could literally turn a corner if you're on, the street down the street and say, save $1, or, let me do your divorce for $99, whereas you're doing it for $129.
Exactly.
You better hope that it comes back to your relationship with Reese, right?
Right.
So
did you have a picture on Facebook of you sitting there with a big bowl of cashews?
No, I think it was on Tinder.
Oh, it was on Tinder.
Well, actually, that's an interesting thing.
That is social media. Swipe right, swipe left. I've never used Tinder, by the way.
That I find is interesting, and it really, years ago, okay, didn't we all sit there and say,
by the way, I think I just had an outside thought that became an
inside
thought that became an outside thought.
It wasn't on the
quote
script.
Seinfeld, so forgive me. That was supposed to be an inside thought.
Years ago, we all didn't like, it was all in the news and the press and the internet. We didn't like everybody knowing so much about us, okay? We were all trying to keep information in, okay? That the internet was dangerous because all the information is out there. But what I find really interesting now with the advent of Facebook and some more of the social media, we by ourselves are putting out there where we check in, we're here, we're going there, we're eating here, the kids are doing this, my husband works in this company, we just bought this house, we just sold this house. We're putting out there voluntarily more information about ourselves than any agency anywhere could capture.
Yeah. Friedman wrote a book 10 years ago called The World is Flat. I highly recommend everyone to read it. There's 10 elements in there of identifiers. Friedman wrote a book called The World is Flat. I think it came out in, how I know this, don't ask, April in 2005. But he had 10 indicators in there, and they're beautiful, and they've all come to fruition. A lot of them have. So
it's interesting.
It's good to
how the world is. It's coming. It's just that it's interesting.
The world is flat.
The world is coming to a big full circle, or it's flat, like you say. And because now what it gives us the ability to do is, Rusty, I can help develop a budget. You can help develop a plan. Rusty can go out and develop the method of we're going to go out and capture the information, and Laura helps develop what information it is that we want to go after. And all that information about what we do every day is out there. And all we need is the technology to go out and bring it in.
And then, and then Reese, I think our viewers should realize that they have to be their own, their biggest cheerleaders, right? They have to be out championing, and the word I love is evangelizing their services or products.
Right.
And fact finding is very easy to do these days. So I think you have to be honest and genuine and present a use case that is compelling on its merits.
And I know a lot of small business owners think that, oh my God, this is going to be expensive to do. This is going to cost a lot of money to put these marketing campaigns together.
Glad you brought that up.
But think about it though. There's so many free tools out there, from Google Analytics to Facebook Analytics. Twitter has their own analytics tools. If you combine all these together, they're very, very powerful. You can really find a lot about your market and the people that you're doing business with.
Let's be honest. Amazon doesn't own brick and mortar. Uber owns no cars, right? Everyone's seen this viral image, right? So Airbnb owns no hotel rooms. So keep this in mind to our viewers that the world has drastically changed.
It has.
Exactly.
It definitely has.
The brick and mortar model or notion, forgive me, Reese, is no longer, it's not the gold standard.
It's not. We have had an awesome show today. I must say, it has been awesome. We've provided a lot of information from different arenas, different professions, and that's going to be our show for today.
Thank you.
Thank you for viewing.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
See you next week.
Well, thanks for joining us on BizMix TV, where we share all the latest of these business strategies. Hopefully, you've been able to glean a lot of great ideas to move your business forward. Now, we want you to stay tuned, same time, same place, next week and every week thereafter. We share biz tips, we share what's new, and the Did You Know segments. They're all going to be fantastic for you and your business. Again, thanks for joining us. I'm Barbara Marville Kelly.